And I just have to add one more person. Okay. The seminar today is called CBD, Is It For Me? And I'm going to be going over a little bit about CBD that we carry in the office. So this is just a disclaimer. What I'm about to talk about, it's not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. This does not constitute or establish a doctor-patient relationship. The information given in this lecture is for informational purposes only, and I don't have any vested interest on not being paid to do this lecture. So the goals and objectives for today, I'm going to just briefly go over the history of cannabis, the endocannabinoid or ECS system, the benefits of CBD, the different forms CBD comes in, and then what kind of products there are and how to dose it. So CBD is really the oldest medicine. It's been around for about 8,000 years. And it's really started as Chinese medicine or Shenyang medicine. CBD started over in Asia and moved through Greece, the Middle East, Africa, India into England, and finally made it to the United States in about 1850. I was doing some reading, and it appears that Cleopatra, Queen Elizabeth, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson all used cannabis as medicine. So the history of cannabis in the United States is interesting. It was used beginning in 1850 and was part of the pharmacopoeias all over the country. The pharmaceutical houses usually carried it as a tincture. You can see the bottle here. It was used as an analgesic, anti-inflammatory, antispasmodic, and an anticonvulsant. Once the discovery of the opiates, the AMA or Medical Association, they opposed the use of cannabis, and they came out with a propaganda campaign, which released this film called Reefer Madness, which shows people in all states of consciousness, basically, using marijuana. So in order to counteract this, to kind of cut off the use of marijuana, the Marijuana Tax Act was enacted in 1937. And then finally in 1970, the marijuana was classified as a Schedule I drug and was deemed illegal. Until about 1996, when California decided that it would be the first state to legalize medical marijuana. Following around 2012, Colorado and Oregon decided that they were going to legalize recreational marijuana. And then finally, in 2018, the Farm Bill was passed, and that legalized CBD in all 50 states. So what is this ECS or endocannabinoid system? This basically is your biochemistry that oversees and regulates your system, your entire biochemistry. So we used to think that this HPA axis was in charge. This is more brain talking to your body. And now we've realized that the endocannabinoid kind of trumps this and has control over all of us. So basically, this is the history. It's interesting that cannabis was used for about 8,000 years, but it wasn't until the 1960s that they really isolated the chemicals and discovered that they were individual particles. And then they discovered also that there's two endocannabinoids that our body makes. One is called AEA or anandamide, and the other is called this 2-AG. So our body has been making this all along. The receptors for the endocannabinoids are found in two locations, basically. The CB1 receptor is in the brain and the nervous system, and the CB2 receptor is located in the immune system primarily. So it's interesting that our body makes these endocannabinoids already. And what happens is when we're stressed, we tend to burn through these, and so we become deficient in them very, very quickly. And CBD, THC, CBN, all of these are plant forms of the same endocannabinoids that our body already makes. So it's easy for us to just take some CBD and that replaces those endocannabinoids that we might be lacking. So we've all heard of marijuana, and there's different species of marijuana. And I think it's interesting that the basic type of marijuana is Cannabis sativa. It falls under this category. And That breaks down into two different forms. So there's cannabis sativa L and cannabis indica. And the cannabis sativa L and cannabis indica, that's the cannabis that we can use for medical or recreational uses. This can be more psychoactive, or in the case of CBD, it's less psychoactive because it doesn't have that THC component in it. The other part of hemp is the hemp that we use agriculturally. So this is used to make bracelets, ropes, bags, and this comes from that cannabis sativa plant as well. So you can have an isolate of CBD where you just have that component CBD by itself, or if you use the whole plant extract, you get kind of a whole bunch of different nutrients in there. So you not only get the cannabinoids like that CBD or CBN or THC, but you also get terpenes, which are the smelly components. So this is your pinene, your linalool, which is like your lavender smells, your limonene smells. So these also have their own biochemical actions. So they can be anti-inflammatory. Some are more anti-analgesic. Some can be more antiviral. Your flavonoids, which are your antioxidants, which tend to put out the fires that we have in the body. The chlorophylls, your essential fatty acids, which are more of your omegas, and your vitamin E's. These are the terpenes that I mentioned, and each terpene has a different effect on the body. So we've got the limonene, which tends to be more, it's more awakening, it's more stimulating. You have your pinene, which is more of an antiseptic, your linalool, which is like your lavender, so that's more calming. So each of these different categories has a different effect on the body. Your essential fatty acids, this basically is your omega. So this is your fish oils. These tend to be very anti-inflammatory. They strengthen your immune system. They can help to lower and regulate your cholesterol or your triglyceride levels. They can help to improve concentration. They have cardiovascular benefit, and they also enhance the absorption of your fat-soluble vitamins. The flavonoids, so these are very interesting. These are like your quercetin, which we find in a lot of antihistamine type allergy medications. The silymarin is for detoxification. The camphorol also has a detoxification, so this helps to purify your liver. And the orientin here is an antioxidant. It has an anti-cancer benefit to it, antifungal benefit, so it's also helpful in promoting health. The medical benefits of CBD, there's a lot of them. So it helps to reduce your pain, your anxiety. It helps to reduce inflammation. It can help with appetite stimulation or nausea control, seizures, convulsions. So part of the reason CBD became so popular is its use as an epileptic or anti-epileptic medication. It has neuroprotective benefits, autoimmune protective benefits. It can have anti-neoplastic or anti-cancer benefits. It helps to stimulate bone growth and helps to strengthen bones. So it can help to modify osteopenia, osteoporosis, and also the cardiovascular benefits to it. CBD has an effect all over the body. So talking about the brain, anti-anxiety, antidepressant, antioxidant, so it helps to put out any inflammation or any fires in the brain. It has an effect on the stomach. It can slow down your digestive process. Your bones, it helps with strengthening and keeping your bones strong. It can help your eyes. So there has been shown some benefit with glaucoma, eye pressure, your heart. It helps to regulate anti-inflammation. It helps to regulate cardiovascular inflammation. And CBD has shown in research to also help with mood. There have been studies done on PTSD, on social phobias, and also on mood disorders like depression. And CBD helps to mitigate those and improve the outcomes. So how do you take CBD? So CBD comes in two different forms. One is full spectrum, which includes the entire plant. The other one is an isolate. So using isolates is pure CBD. There's nothing else in there. So I usually recommend if you have drug testing at work, police officers, government officials, if they tend to do drug testing with you, then CBD, a pure isolate, might be a better way for you to go. It has a more narrow range of effectiveness because you don't have all those other ingredients in there. And you can use them. Sometimes you need to use a little bit more to have as much of an effect. The full spectrum plant, however, has all of those extra benefits. So you get this called an entourage effect. So it's similar to the effect of eating a whole orange. You get more of a benefit than just eating vitamin C. So you get those other ingredients in there. It has a broader range of effectiveness, and you get the benefits of the terpenes and the essential fatty acids and so forth. So this is a dose response curve. So here is your amounts here, and here is time. So if you're taking the full spectrum plant, you tend to get relief sooner, so less time, and you tend to get more benefit here. So you tend to get a greater range of benefit here, whereas the isolates may take a little bit more time to work, and you don't quite get as much of a benefit. The other thing too that's important to remember is that not necessarily more is better when it comes to CBD. So you can see you can take more, you reach a peak, and then taking more than that really doesn't benefit you. You get less of a response. So that's important to recognize. And that entourage effect, that was discovered way back in 1998. Where these two researchers discovered that working together, all of the constituents in the CBD, it synergistically worked to magnify the potential therapeutic benefits. Now, we can get CBD products it's manufactured and packaged in all different ways, including tinctures, liquids, capsules. There's topicals, creams, and lotions, and then there's your edibles. So your liquids, these are usually diluted in a natural oil like an olive oil or an MCT oil. These are consumed orally. Usually I have the person put them under the tongue sublingually so that they're absorbed right through that the oral mucosa there. So they have a short time of action. So usually within 15 or 20 minutes, you can start to see a benefit. And these last about 4 to 5 hours. The topicals and balms, these usually are in a lotion form. They're massaged into the skin, muscles, joints, usually for muscle spasms or pain. There's a slower absorption, and these don't get systemic. So you're not going to have a systemic benefit. It's just superficial. So it'll just get into those muscle tissues. Inhaled or vaporized. I don't do these in the office, but this actually is the most rapid method of action here. You breathe it right into the lungs, it crosses that lung barrier, and it's right in your system. I just don't do these here. Concentrates and sprays, these are nice because you're able to take a smaller amount. Similar to the liquids, you take it orally, usually sublingually, so it gets right into your system quickly. And it has a pretty high bioavailability, meaning that the dosage that you take is the dosage that gets right into the system. This also takes 15-20 minutes, and it lasts about 4 to 5 hours. Capsules is another way to take CBD. These get absorbed through the stomach. They tend to be longer lasting, but you also have to digest it. You have to metabolize it, and that can take some time. Depending on whether you're taking it with food or without food, it could be 20 minutes to an hour for it to actually get into your system, but they tend to last a little bit longer. So it'll last 6 to 8 hours. And the problem with this is the bioavailability. So even though you're taking 100 milligrams, only 10 to 25% of that may be bioavailable. So you have to think about that when you're taking a capsule. You may require a stronger capsule to get a lesser dose. And then lastly here is the edibles and the drinks. So these could be your gummies. These are taken into, they're either digested or some of the absorption is done in the mouth sublingually. These can be also longer lasting and similar absorption and bioavailability to the capsules. These also, if you're doing edibles like brownies or candies, you can also, these may contain sugar. So you have to be aware of that as well. And how much CBD do you take? So this is interesting because it's a different dose for every person. It doesn't matter whether you're small or you're big. Some people, 10 milligrams may be fine. Other people may require upwards of 100, 200, or even 400. Depends on what you're taking the CBD for. So that can play a role also. The way that you take it, whether it's a capsule, a liquid, or an edible, also plays a role. So what I tend to do is I start very low. So I'll start with a dose of maybe 5 or 10 milligrams. We'll try that for a few days, and then I'll have you increase, and we'll find that perfect dose for you. We don't want to give you too much because that can be a waste of money. And as we saw earlier, taking more is not necessarily better. So I always ask, start low, go slow with your dosing, and you'll stay as low as you can to get that therapeutic and that perfect dose for you. So just to summarize, the cannabinoids, we do have cannabinoids that our body makes, but when we're stressed, we often burn through them more quickly than we can make them. So taking the phytocannabinoids, or the plant forms like your CBD, your THC, your CBG, CBN, that hemp plant, you get that entourage effect by taking the whole plant versus the isolate, but you also you bind the same receptors. And so you get that added benefit, that neuroprotection, that help with inflammation. You get a little bit of assistance with your immune response, and it also can help your metabolism. So balance really is the key. And I just found our favorite cat here. So my doctor asked me if I've ever had a stress test. And of course, Garfield says, yes, he ran out of weed once. So thank you for listening. I appreciate all of our patients. You're our family. If you mention this talk, if you need any CBD products, you'll get 10% off. And our contact information is below. You can call, email, contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And thank you so much.